Welcome back to another Kusari Games video, everybody. Today I'm going to teach you guys how to become better at Super Hexagon. This long-ass video will go through multiple points, and I'll just list them through really quickly. It'll go through devices, being comfortable, calm and concentration, blinking, high score, difficulty, patterns, practice, cockiness and panic, distractions, and pausing. So yeah, it's quite a bit there, and I do know that this video will be going for a very long time, so we'll just get right into it. But firstly, I am going to be replacing all difficulty names and titles or whatever with numbers, so just to make it easier, hard is 1, harder is 2, hardest is 3, hardester is 4, hardest is 5, and hardest is 6. Okay, good. So, please be sure to watch the entire video, and remember to leave a like if you think this video has helped you. So, also, the gameplay you are seeing is unedited gameplay from myself, so it's just me basically mucking about in Super Hexagon. And it will be highlighted on the bottom left as miscellaneous, as my gameplay, or it will be highlighted as example on the bottom left if it's showing gameplay about a specific thing in Super Hexagon that I will be talking about. So, let's get it started. First up is choose your device. Tablet, mobile phone, or PC. Whichever one you think you're better at, go for it. I found myself to be better on iPad than anything else. Make sure you play around in all three, so you know which one is best for you. That's basically it. I mean, I know it's on Android, on iOS, and on Steam, and they're all relatively cheap, so it's a good buy. Secondly, play it more. I know this is already known, but practice does make perfection in this game. I will go into more detail later on in the video. The next point would be being comfortable. If you're playing on PC, get a good seat. I know gamers, hardcore gamers have their own gaming seats. I know myself have quite a comfortable seat, not like a wooden one, but yeah, it's good to get a good seat. One that feels similar to your couch. Also, this game supports the use of the wired 360 controller, or a wireless one, I think. And I do use the wired controller. And the left-right triggers, bumpers, and directional buttons can also be used to play the game, alongside the A and B buttons, or the green and red by memory. So yeah, you can just sit back on your chair and just play it on your monitor, which is actually quite nice, instead of hunching over and, you know, just using 2 fingers on the keyboard, which are, or 2 buttons on the keyboard. So, that does actually help the comfortability. It helps with you becoming better at the game. And maybe a footrest as well. If you're using an iPad or a mobile phone and you're just sitting on the couch, a footrest is also good, because when I play it on my iPad, you know, it's actually pretty good. I like it, because having a footrest, I feel like I'm suspended, like being strung up. I don't know, that's just how I feel. Like having my feet on the ground, I don't know, it sounds kind of stupid, I know, but for me, it just helps slightly. So the next one would be being calm, and concentration comes from this as well. So this is definitely a definite beyond belief. If you are not calm, you're going to screw up really badly. So taking deep breaths before, during, and after each game is going to help. Concentration does come along with being calm in this game. You'll find that you'll do a lot better if you just keep your rage, your anger, and your heartbeat down. I mean, people, I don't know, for me, I don't really rage, but I do get slightly annoyed if I, like, muck up a second before my high score, so, you know, stuff does happen. So, blinking. This seems to be the joke of Super Hexagon. I mean, you blink and it's game over, basically. That's the idea. So the only advice I have for you for blinking is when there's a pattern or obstacle that you know you're going to get past. So an example of this, I'll pull up some gameplay on the screen at the moment, is the spiral. Now, on earlier difficulties, the spiral is on the first one, I believe, on the first difficulty, on number 1. All you do is just hold left, and you just get past it. So blinking or rubbing your eyes at that time is a good idea. And on high difficulties, the spiral is 2-way, so I'll go into further detail later on. High score mentality. This is for myself. I'm not sure if it applies to any of you, but this is just how I think about the game and how I think about high scores as such. beating my own high score, either a split second or a second after, doesn't count for me. I just try again. I want to actually earn it, so I keep trying until I get maybe 5-10 seconds above my high score. So I beat it, I push it further. It's just how I am with this game. I don't really earn it until I push it a significant amount further. So, yeah, that concludes the high score mentality. Difficulty. Well, if you've played this game before, there are 6 difficulties. 3 of them which are already unlocked to begin with, and with 5 levels each. So that's every 10 seconds it increases in difficulty within the difficulty, if that makes any sense whatsoever. So when you reach 60 seconds on difficulties 1, 2, or 3, the game will shift and morph to their unlocked levels. So if you get 60 seconds on difficulty 1, it'll unlock 4, and if you get 60 seconds on 2, it'll unlock 5, 3 unlocks 6. So if you get 60 seconds on 1, 2, or 3, it'll morph and change to their unlocked counterpart, or their unlocked continuation, I would say. So yeah, it just continues on, and you just have to survive the next difficulty, and also the timer builds up on top of that. And the counter does keep going. Every 60 seconds, it does change to the next difficulty after that, and it'll get to the point where it gets to a difficulty where you just have to maintain it. There is no difficulty after that. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I suggest you watch the world record from difficulty 3, I believe, and that's linked in the description below. If you just skip maybe halfway or 3/4 through, you'll see what I'm talking about. It's all black-white and everything's really still. So yeah, now the bigger part of the video is coming up at the moment. It is the patterns. Now, here comes the hard part of the video, the freaking patterns. The patterns in this game serve as the obstacles you must avoid, and they are your own demise as well. It is up to the player to keep in their head how to overcome the harder patterns. I will show you a couple of the harder patterns that you will come across during your first hour or so of the game time. You will have already known how to get past the easier patterns, so I won't go through them, but I will go through the harder patterns. So I've got 4 of them here, 4 of them. I can't count. So, the first one I shall name, Go Too Far and You Will Mess Up. Now, I'll pull up gameplay of it at this moment. Please check back if you've minimized or whatever. And the pattern is, as you can see in the gameplay, you need to avoid the oncoming circle, and you need to do a 180 to avoid the next one, and if you stop too early, you'll bugger up, and if you go too far, you'll bugger up. So, obviously, the lines are constructed in such a way that, obviously, if you go too early or too far, you will screw up, so you need to get it just right. And it's good to mention that try to stay in the middle of the lanes. Like, if you're... They're done in shades, so if you stay in the middle of the lane, you're guaranteed a pass, but if you're closer to the boundary of the other lane, then it's questionable if you'll hit the line or not. So just try to stay in the middle of the lane, because, as I said before, it is guaranteed a pass. Alright, so, the spiral. On the easiest difficulties, as I said, I think I don't know which freaking section it was. Anyway, I'll continue on. There is one way to get past, but on the higher ones, there are 2 ways. One way will make you end up right next to the open, so on the same lane, and the other side, if you decide to take the left side or the right side, whichever way, usually it'll make you end up on the opposite side of the opening, so you'll have to be careful in which way you go, and if you do go the wrong way, you have to be quick about doing a 180 and getting past it. So that is that. Next up is the one-arm square. This applies to the first difficulty only, and the 4th. And this is where the playing field turns into a square, and there is such a pattern that comes at you where it's 3 sides of a square, but the 4th side has a small opening, and it's really skinny. I'll pull up some gameplay of it at the moment. And basically, you stay on the lane right next to the arm, and once it's clear, once you just hit that opening, you just hold the right button or the left button, whichever way you have to go, and you're guaranteed a pass there. And obviously the gameplay will show that as well. Now, the next one only applies to difficulty 6, which if you have seen the ending of Super Hexagon video that I uploaded, I get past 2 of these flawlessly. 3 of these maybe, I don't know. Two at once though, but okay. I dubbed this, how the hell do I get past that? Because the first time I hit that pattern, that's exactly what I said. Now the pattern, if you have, oh god, okay, whatever, I just lost my line. Okay, so basically you need to get the timing right here. You got to do 2 taps of the right hand side, and then quick 3 taps of the left, and obviously the gameplay will show you that, but that's what you need to do. There's literally nothing else. It's just the timing and 2 taps of the right and 3 taps of the left. You just need to get the timing right there, but that's all I'll give you for the patterns wise. Otherwise I will be holding your hands the entire way. I'll leave you guys to figure out the rest, but I guess that's it. I hope I'm explaining myself clearly here, and it'll help you guys out. So I hope I'm doing something right here. The next section is practice. Now, if you're trying to beat your high score on the difficulties, 4, 5, or 6, I suggest you play difficulty 3 for a bit. But if you're trying to beat the game entirely, play difficulty 4, the blue one, the one you unlock after you beat the first one. And for me, that's a good practice level, and it's actually it's very smooth, I would say. Like the colors are not changing as much, and just the gameplay is so smooth. I mean, the other ones aren't. They're pulsing too much and things. I'm not sure how to explain it, but yeah, difficulty 4 is a good practice for the high difficulties. I'll just leave it at that. So the next one is Cockiness and Panic. Now this is going to be an interesting one. Usually this comes from players who play the game for the first time. Usually they aren't used to the spinning field and are baffled by the way experienced players get by. In some cases, like myself, this also comes with the new difficulty. We unlock the next difficulty, we move on to it, and we are greeted with new patterns that we must get past. We panic, we lose, and for the cockiness side of things, for myself, this comes with beating my own high score or reaching the next 60-second mark. So this would be 120 seconds or 180, 240, either one. My advice, do not pay attention to the timer, or the female voice saying that you beat your high score, or her saying triangle or square or hexagon just every 10 seconds or so, because if you pay attention to them, it serves as a distraction and you'll cost. It's very costly when you screw up and you pay attention to that sort of stuff. So yeah, just keep playing, and it's hard to keep your composure if you pay attention to unimportant things, like I said before. And you just need to pay attention to your the survival of your cursor and the endless flurry of patterns that are heading your way. Alright, the last one. God, and then it's the end of the goddamn video. Hooray, guys. Pausing and distractions. Alright, so this is really obvious, but there is no pausing. There's just, you start the game and you keep going until you screw up. That's it. For people who haven't played the game before, that's how it is. Now the next part for distractions is make sure you're somewhere where you can't get distracted. I mean, if your mum calls you and you have to go do something, I mean, you have to die, you have to go do it, and then you have to come back, and then you got to restart. And imagine if you're on a 180-second run going for 190 seconds, and they're like, Jimmy, you got to get down here and wash the dishes. It's really terrible. It happens to me quite a lot. So I will end it right here, and if you have watched until thus far, please drop a like, and, well, if this video helped you out. Also, subscribe if you'd like to see some Resident Evil Revelations, or the Devil May Cry Let's Plays that I am doing. And as always, I'll leave you guys to it, and I shall see you later.